Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure. All Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. The focus of my presentation and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel in Discord is options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as the directional bias. And the second step of my process is execution. And I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And questions and comments are welcome. I will be watching the chat in Discord, Options-Doug chat channel in Discord, as well as chat in YouTube. And Floyd's Garage says, hello, I can hear great, hear good. Thank you. Glad you're here. Glad audio is okay. All right, my agenda for today. What I want to cover, first of all, go over news items, economic data, events, and earnings for today and the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis, and then I'll review a few setups from the morning, and then we'll take a look at the live market. All right, let's get started. First of all, news items. Today there were a couple of PMI releases, manufacturing PMI at 9:45 and 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and both were less than forecast, less than the previous numbers, and less than 50, indicating contraction. And then tomorrow, Friday, the jobs report, the monthly employment situation report that comes out on the first Friday of the month is tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. All right, let's get started with positional analysis. And I'm going to start with the S&P 500. First of all, this is the ES futures in Bookmap, the S&P 500 futures. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I'm going to step back and take a look at a larger time frame. And this is SPX in a 30-day 1-hour chart, and showing that it looks like price is now heading back up to recent highs, which the recent high was 42.31. So it appears to be breaking out of the range, the 4150 to 4200 range. Let me point out a couple of some levels here on the chart. First of all, I've got the lower and upper edge of the expected move for the week, shown with the dashed purple lines, and the dashed blue lines showing the lower and upper edge of the expected move for the day. And note SPX is trading above that level. There are other levels on this chart that I want to point out. These are from Spotgamma. These are the Spotgamma key daily levels, and they're provided to Spotgamma subscribers for a variety of platforms. Here again, we're looking at Thinkorswim. So first of all, here's the 4,000 put wall That's the strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support, and that's not really in play today. And then the next level is the 4150 level, and that is the absolute gamma strike. And then above that at 4170 is the volatility trigger, and that is Spotgamma's proprietary gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, they have to sell or trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. So its price falls, they have to sell. And then above that level, like price is trading now, SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to subdue volatility. So negative gamma environment, market makers trading tends to enhance volatility, and then on the other hand, in a positive gamma environment, like the current environment, market makers trading tends to subdue volatility. And then the next level I want to point out is the call wall, and that's the strike with the largest net positive gamma, and that can be expected to act as resistance. So those are the primary daily levels. Now let's take a look at another thinkorswim chart just to get an idea of the levels that are in play for today. So this is a 1 day, 1 minute chart showing the same levels. So again, SPX is trading above the upper edge of the expected move, shown here. Also trading above the volatility trigger. So in a positive gamma environment now. All right, let's take a look at Bookmap. And in Bookmap, I have 2 columns of notes here for levels. First, this is Spotgamma Cloud Notes, again provided to Spotgamma subscribers for a variety of platforms. For Bookmap, they're provided in the form of Cloud Notes, and this is showing combo levels, SPX and SPY combo levels converted to an equivalent SPX level and then converted to an equivalent ES number. And right now it looks like Spotgamma is using an 8-point difference between ES and SPX, and I calculated a 7-point difference today, so there's a slight difference in my combo level here, the C3 level, 1 point lower, and this is my column of cloud notes here. So in my column, I'm showing the SPX levels, also the SPY levels. So there's the SPY 422 call wall that is expected to act as resistance today. So again, that's the SPY call wall converted to an equivalent ES number. Here's the upper edge, the expected move for the day for ES, a little bit different than SPX. And then I'm showing other SPX and SPY levels as well. So let's take a look at some levels that were in play for today, and primarily SPY levels. So the SPY 417 level acted as support this morning, and price reversed higher just in between the SPX 4170 volatility trigger level and the SPY 417 level. And there was a pullback just below the SPY 418 level. Then a brief pause between the SPY 419 volatility trigger and the SPX 4200 level, and then price has taken off again. And now it looks like finding resistance at the SPY 422 level. And we'll take a look at the live market in a few minutes, and we'll see that options traders have been fading this move since about noon, a little bit before. They've been taking negative delta positions as the ES SPX SPY approached the SPY 422 call wall. And keep in mind, ES and SPX and SPY are just different versions of the same product, the S&P 500. So that's why I have all these levels shown on this chart. All right, so shifts in levels. For SPX, the volatility trigger did shift lower slightly from 41.75 yesterday to 41.70. And for SPY, the volatility trigger also shifted lower slightly from 420 yesterday to 419 today. The put wall did shift higher to 415, and then most significantly, the call wall shifted lower from 425 yesterday to 422. So I interpret that as somewhat bearish. The ceiling, potential ceiling for the S&P 500 has moved lower at that 422 call wall. All right, let's take a look at, and again, we'll look at setups and the live market in a few minutes. So those are the levels in play for today. And really, the primary levels are the SPY levels, the 417 support, the SPX 4200 level that Spotgamma noted as a pivot level this morning, and then meaning they would be bullish above that level and bearish below. Another way of looking at that is mean reversion around that 4200 level. So that would be just the opposite. And actually let's go back to the so here's the 4200 level, and it seems to me there has been some mean reversion around that level. So maybe now this, if the call wall levels move up tomorrow, maybe this may be a bullish breakout. We'll see. All right, so that is the S&P 500. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. We'll go to the NQ futures and Bookmap. Another bullish day here. NQ trading above the upper edge of the expected move for the day. That's shown in my Cloud Note columns here. All right, let's take a look at a QQQ chart, and we'll take in Thinkorswim, and we'll just take a look at the levels in play for today. And primarily, QQQ is trading well above the volatility trigger, so in a positive gamma environment. Although it started the day in a negative gamma environment, negative gamma notional, and then also trading above the call wall, which should have acted as a resistance. All right, let's go back to Bookmap now. So bullish day here in the NASDAQ. And the support level this morning was the NQ 14,250 and the QQQ 347. And then here's the QQQ 350 call wall, and again price is trading above that right now. All right, so shifts in levels for the NASDAQ. Shifts in levels for the NASDAQ. For the NDX, the put wall did shift lower from 13,750 to 11,000. And then for QQQ, the volatility trigger did shift lower from 349 yesterday to 346. And then most notably, the call wall shifted lower from 360 to 350. So I interpret that as somewhat bearish as well. So for SPY and QQQ, the call walls both did shift lower. All right, so Floyd's Garage and YouTube asks, so when goes above a gamma area, it will act as support. I'm not sure I understand your question. So the put wall I expected to act as support. Call wall I expect to act as resistance. And then a volatility trigger or absolute gamma strike can act as support or resistance. All right, so those are the levels in play for today. For the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, I've talked about shifts in levels. Again, primarily the shifts lower in the call walls for SPY and QQQ. Let's take a look at the Vanna model now. That'll give us an idea of how market makers are positioned. Today I'm going to take a look at the Vanna model for SPY. SPY, by the way, started out the day fairly negative gamma notional at minus 846, and we'll take a look at that in just a minute. So what this chart is showing is market makers delta notional or delta exposure on the vertical axis against price on the horizontal axis. Again, we're looking at SPY. And there are two curves on this chart. First, the light gray curve is showing how market makers delta notional will change with changes in price only. What this is showing is above around the 422 level, which again, remember, is the call wall, that market makers will need to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure, and that could contribute to somewhat of a mean reversion back to the 422 level. And then this purple curve is showing, it adds implied volatility to the equation, showing how market makers delta notional changes with changes in price and implied volatility. And it is predicting that market makers will have less delta notional to hedge, as predicted by the delta only curve. Then on the other hand, if price decreases, then market makers will have more delta notional to hedge. So in a negative gamma environment, with price decreasing and implied volatility increasing, market makers will need to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. All right, let's check where SPY is trading now. Let's go back to this chart, the ES chart. So we see that SPY is just under the 422 call wall. So let's go back and look at the Vanna model. And actually, again, so SPY traded up from the 417 level, now up to the 422 level. So let's see where those levels fall on the Vanna model. So first of all, this morning, so here is the 417 level. And what I'm interpreting, what I get from this chart, is from that level, there was somewhat of a Vanna tailwind for SPY for the S&P 500. So what this means is that this curve works both ways. So if price increases, market makers can buy back short hedges. Their delta exposure decreases and they can buy back short futures. So that provides a tailwind for price up to a certain level. So at the 422 level, this Vanna model definitely starts to flatten. So here's this line right here. This is 422. So price has already gotten that Vanna tailwind this morning, and it looks like that is that may end, and as price increases, market makers will have to start selling futures to hedge their delta exposure. So again, this is showing that there was a Vanna tailwind as market makers were buying back short hedges as price increased. And let's take a look at a chart of VIX just as a proxy for implied volatility, and note that it has been falling all this morning. And Truman asks, is the right axis on the Vanna model the IV level? So the vertical axis is delta notional. So remember, market makers want to remain delta neutral. So as what these curves are showing is as price moves down or moves up, market makers delta notional will increase, and they'll have to sell futures as price increases. In a positive gamma environment, or sell futures as price decreases below around, if we look at the very bottom of this Vanna model at about 423. All right, so Floyd's Garage asks, do you look at skew? And yes, I do. And right now, skew is trading higher than it has been in quite a while, and that provides a very good advantage for selling. That's kind of a measure of tail risk, and that, to me, the way I use that is it provides a good advantage for selling far out of the money, far out on time options, and then buying shorter term options. For example, selling far out of the money out in time, like September puts, and then buying short term 30-day put spreads to hedge those short puts. So that's how I use skew, and it is providing a very good advantage. And that skew started to increase right around when the, I don't know if I would call it a crisis, but the regional banking issue started in March. That's when the skew started to increase. So that's how I use skew. All right, so that's the Vanna model. Let's take a look at one other thing. And I'm going to go to the gamma notional and Spotgamma index. And this is for SPX, SPY, NDX, and QQQ. And the Spotgamma gamma index is a proprietary measurement of gamma, and that ranges from -4 to 4, so slightly positive for SPX and negative for SPY, and then not much significance for NDX and QQQ. It's a little bit easier to read gamma notional. So these numbers are showing for SPX, market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day was slightly positive, and then more significantly negative for SPY. That's why I looked at the SPY Vanna model today. Okay, and then also somewhat a little bit negative for QQQ. All right, let's take a look at setups. And first of all, I want to point out that today the move higher in the market seems to be pretty broad-based. In recent weeks, the large cap tech stocks have been the primary drivers of price higher, and this is a heat map for the S&P 500 and showing that it looks like almost all sectors except utilities, which were strong yesterday, are contributing to the rally today. So more of a broad-based rally today. All right, let's take a look at Spotgamma Hero here. And this is actually, let's go back. So what this chart is showing is price in terms of the SPX, and then hedging impact, options trades and hedging impact, or hedging pressure, hedging flow for options trades in SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. Combined signal for the S&P 500, and let's take a look at some of the individual components of that before I take a closer look at this chart. So first of all, let's take a look at SPX. So we know this number is, the notion of value is negative, minus 731 million. Let's take a look at SPX, and that's positive 700 million. SPY negative minus 1.78 billion, and then ES futures positive 295 million. So that nets out to this chart for the combined signal. Right, I'm going to zoom in on just on the morning session here. And remember the setup that I talked about briefly for the S&P 500 was along at around SPY 417. So here is this divergence in Hero. Hero starts to rise about 9:45, and then the S&P 500 follows about 5 minutes later, right before the 10 a.m. data. And then also a secondary entry, if you waited until after the data was reported, was at 10:25. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap at those two long setups. So 9:55 and 10:25. We'll go back to Bookmap. I'm going to zoom in on the let's go until noon. So the morning session. Oops. All right, so here's the first setup at around 9:55, just before the data. And note the aggressive buyers coming in here. Large green volume dots. Aggressive buyers come in as options traders are taking positive delta positions. Note the rising cumulative volume delta, that is this dark blue line. And then eventually buy stop orders start to help to fuel the move higher, shown by this rising yellow line here. And then here is the pullback and secondary entry. And note the shift in order flow there. Pink dots and then aggressive buyers start to come in. And all that time, cumulative volume delta continues to rise. And then after this second pullback, or this pullback at around 1025, then stop orders start to help to fuel the move higher, shown by these small green dots. So this setup is something that I call a hero kickoff. And we'll go back and look at the hero chart in a minute. And it seems like with this setup, options traders seem to initiate a move, and then they, like the kickoff team on a football team, they go out, they leave the field, and then the offense or defense, in this case the offense, comes in and takes over, and they take the price higher. So in this case, the aggressive buyers, shown with the cumulative volume delta, all the green dots, as well as the stop orders, start to move price higher as the options traders, the kickoff team, leave the field. So that is a hero kickoff. All right, so that's the S&P 500 setups this morning. And price continues to test the 422 call wall. All right, so those are the setups this morning. Pretty good, clear setups, looking at order flow and hedging flow. All right, let's go take a look at, and what I mean by the hero kickoff is note really the choppy action after those first two setups. You can see that after around 1045, hero is really choppy up and down, but price continues this steady uptrend driven by aggressive buyers and also buy stop orders. So again, a hero kickoff there. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. And just like the S&P 500, this is a combined signal for NDX and QQQ. And again, the components are QQQ and NDX. And let's take a look at this closer. So this is somewhat like the S&P 500, pretty similar setups. The long setup was a little bit more clear right after the open here, this divergence long, and then price responds right around 938. Then a pullback entry right around 950 or so, and then another entry around 1030. So there are three long entries, 938, and around, actually this was more of a continuation. We'll take a look at 938 and 1030. So let's go to the NASDAQ chart now. And again, I'm just reviewing setups from the morning, showing the key setups. So let's go, we'll zoom in on the morning session. So here's the first setup. Actually, at around 938. And again, the NASDAQ found support between NQ 250 and QQQ 347. Note the very clear shift in order flow as price moves lower, aggressive sellers and then aggressive buyers come in. And actually they come in a little bit before price starts to increase, giving you a clue that price was going to move higher. And again, we know that options traders were taking positive delta positions. And then here's the second setup. Just before 10:30. Again, you can see the same shift in order flow, and we know that options traders were taking positive delta positions. And what that means is market makers have to buy futures to hedge their delta exposure. And again, the shift in order flow, the green volume dots, aggressive buyers coming in. So those are the two long setups in NQ this morning. And targets, it looks like to me, NQ is well above targets. That I would have used. I trade the S&P 500 this morning, so they're 350 call wall, QQQ call wall, first target. NQ upper daily expected move, second target, and now NQ continues higher. All right, let's take a look at a couple of stock setups, and then we'll get to the live market. So the first one I want to take a look at is Apple. And note that Apple, the 180 level is the call wall. Let's take a look at Hero. And nice steady uptrend in Apple up to the 180 call wall. Driven by call buyers. That's shown by the rising orange line. We can also take a look at the notional value. So they're buying calls, that's positive 99 million. And they're also selling puts, that's positive 8.1 million. But it looks like the call buyers are really driving price higher there. So when traders buy calls in a stock, market makers they sell the calls and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. And that can drive a price higher. And it looks like, again, that price has reached the very obvious target at the 180 call wall. Let's take a look at the total signal. And it has somewhat, it was sloping up pretty sharply in the morning and then has still rising, but just gradually, and now has leveled off. All right, so that's Apple, call buyers, driving price higher. Here's NVIDIA. And we'll go to full screen. So the call buyers are back. So the rising orange line shows that traders are buying calls, taking positive delta positions, and they're also selling puts. Positive 472 million and positive 135 million, 136 million for puts. So they're selling puts and buying calls. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go back Apple again. Apple 180 is the call wall, the target. And so far traders are having trouble getting price above that level. And Second Wind's ask is 423 the call wall on SPY. No, it's 422. All right, so that's Apple. And here's NVIDIA. And it made it kind of reverse what it did yesterday. So made it up to the 400 call wall. Very bullish price action in NVIDIA. Notice all the green dots here, aggressive buyers. We'll take a look at cumulative volume delta. It should be a straight line up. Looking at this dark blue line here. Straight line up from the opening. So traders are buying calls, selling puts, and aggressive buyers are in here. So the call buyers are back in NVIDIA and driving price higher. All right, let's take a look at the live market. We'll go back to the S&P 500. And now it looks like price is trying to get above the 422 call wall. And then the next level of resistance, that is the 4230, which Spotgamma was noting as somewhat the same level as the 422 call wall. It's not quite the same level. And then there's also this 4226 combo level. And above that is the SPX 4250 level. And note that larger traders are fading this move with iceberg orders. That's shown by this falling light blue line. So there's a larger, actually that was canceled. So they're canceling, but this is showing that iceberg orders, sell iceberg orders. But so far the buy stop orders and the aggressive buyers are winning. Let's see what options traders are doing. So we'll go back to Hero for the S&P 500. So it looks like they're kind of shifting to more positive delta positions, and then price is responding, or they may be responding to price. Let's just take a look at let's change the rolling window to 30 minutes. So I'm just looking at the past 30 minutes of data, and this provides more clarity. So about 12:50, 1 o'clock, traders started taking positive delta positions in the S&P 500. Let's see what zero DTE traders are doing, and this is very similar. So it looks like zero DTE traders are having a large impact on options traders trades today. So these are options that expire today. So traders are again taking positive delta positions right now on options that expire today, and that may help to move price above the 422 call wall. And the reason I'm looking at that shorter rolling window, shorter look back period, when this is a cumulative signal for the entire day, and when this is somewhat flat like it is now, it helps to change that cumulative period to a shorter time frame. Let's go take a look at NASDAQ now. And if anyone has any other stocks that want me to take a look at, let me know. So here's NASDAQ. Looks like they may be starting, options traders may be starting to fade this move. Let's take a look at we're on a 30-minute, so this is the 1 day. Go to the 30-minute. Let's zoom in a bit. So far I would not read much into this. Overall, it's been bullish since around 12:50, 1 o'clock, the same as the S&P 500. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. Let's go back. So far very very bullish here for the NASDAQ. Note the buy stop orders, yellow line, continue to fuel the move higher. Now it looks like some larger traders are coming in with buy iceberg orders. Cumulative volume delta continues to increase. Let's go back and take a look at Hero. So far the definitely the best trades were just to get long in the morning and hold a runner. Whether you bought calls, bought shares of QQQ or SPY, or bought futures. Let me just do a quick check on and I'm just looking at a chart on another screen, looking at tech stocks all continue to rise. So now it looks like options traders are starting to fade the move in NASDAQ. And let's check on the S&P 500. Same for S&P 500. I'm going to go back just so we still need the 30-minute rolling window period to give us more clarity. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. And again, if anybody wants to look at any of the stocks that I have here, just let me know. So we know that options traders are starting to take negative delta positions. So trading the S&P 500 has taken some patience today, but it has paid off if you got long in the morning. SPY trading right around the 422 call wall. Let's check the NASDAQ again. So a little bit more pronounced move lower in the negative delta trades. But note here, when they did that they really didn't get paid, so they started taking long positions again. So this may be maybe indicating just another chance to get long. So right now it looks like stop orders, CVD starting to level off, and now some larger traders. Excuse me, larger traders are starting to sell at 14,500 with iceberg orders. All right, so BlockWiz asks SPX ES is at a call wall. With today's strength, do you see indication that it can act as support and push higher? So far, so let's go back to the S&P 500 now. So that's a hard call today. So the S&P 500 has rallied strongly all day, and 422, the SPY 422 call wall is a natural resistance level, and anything beyond that, it's also almost 2:30. The RTH close is in an hour and a half, 90 minutes. And I would have to see how levels shift tomorrow. So that'll be the excuse me, that'll be the key for tomorrow. So if the call wall for SPY moves higher, then that would be a strong clue for higher prices tomorrow. So that's what I would be looking at. So again, for today, I don't necessarily see much of a that much of a move higher. The money has already been made. If you got long around 417 or 418, SPY 417, 418. Again, the money's been made. That was those were the trades for today. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. So it looks like that 14,500 level, NQ 14,500 level, has been acting as resistance. We'll see if that lasts. Let's see what options traders are doing. So for NASDAQ, they continue to fade. And you're welcome for the scripts. All right, so Florid's Garage asked, could you repeat that? What would you be looking at for tomorrow? And I'm looking at shifts and levels. That's always what I look at. And if I expect the S&P 500 to continue higher, I would look for a shift higher in the SPY call wall specifically. The SPX call wall is still up at 4,300, so I would look for a shift higher. Let's just take a look at so this is the SPY absolute gamma levels. I'm going to zoom in on this. So here is the SPY 422 call wall. So if what I would look for a continued move higher is to build call positions above that level. So I would look for a build in calls above that level, and specifically for the call wall to move higher. So what this chart is showing is absolute gamma levels. Orange bars are showing positive gamma or call gamma above the zero line, and the blue bars are showing negative gamma or put gamma below the zero line. So if I'm tomorrow I will be evaluating this, and I will be able to make a better judgment based on shifts in the calls above the call wall level, and again specifically for an increase in the call wall. All right, so BlockWiz asked, he said he was able to put them in Bookmap for NQ, and for one question, individual stocks like Tesla, AMD, do you manually put the levels? So let me show you what I do for stocks. Let's go to Tesla. So for stocks, I have an add-on called Price Lines, and that is available in the Bookmap marketplace. And I fill out a spreadsheet, and every day I can shift the levels. I used to add all of the levels for all the stocks that I follow. That just got too time consuming in the morning for all these stocks that I follow. So I just look at the hero chart for the gamma levels, spot gamma levels, but I just have the line shown here on the chart. So this is drawing, putting the labels. I just like to see where the round numbers are, and so this is just showing the round number levels, and then I mark the fives and the zeros with red instead of yellow. But for SPY and QQQ, I do add the gamma levels. So just for those two stocks or ETFs. So let's take a look at SPY. So SPY, for example, I do have the call wall noted here, but I only do that for QQQ and SPY, and I do this manually. So I look at the levels from Spotgamma every day. So for the SPY and QQQ, they're shown here. So I just add those, change those in my spreadsheet. And you can use your own cloud notes or just do that manually. All right, so again, looks like the S&P 500 is up against resistance. That may be it for the day. The money's already been made. Great move from the 417 to 418 level, higher up to the 422 call wall that appears to be acting as resistance. And options traders are fading the move higher in NASDAQ and the S&P 500, starting to take negative delta positions. So at the SPY 422 and the NASDAQ 14,500, NQ 14,500. But again, the money's already been made, I think. Nice move higher in both indices, and then traders, again, remember, traders were back buying calls, and we looked at two examples in Apple and Nvidia. All right, tomorrow, remember the employment report at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That's all I have for today. I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.